Still starting. All right, we should be live on both.
Yep, I'm seeing it.
Yep, good. So, welcome everyone to the Foolish Tech Show. Does my mic sound all right, or Michael, do you want to do the meeting?
It's not bad. It's not bad. Go ahead.
So, welcome to the Foolish Tech Show. We are here mainly to provide support and answer any questions about our products and services. Otherwise, we'll talk about random tech shop stuff. So, everyone's opinion here is, of course, their own opinion and not reflective of Foolish IT. If we're talking about any random stuff, but if we're talking about our software and services, hopefully it's going to be the same. So, otherwise, how's everyone doing on this Wednesday?
Pretty well.
A little chilly. The heat's out at the office.
Oh boy, that's got to be fun. It feels like the heat is out here as well.
Oh, really?
Like someone has the air conditioner turned on. So. But it's not that bad. So, happy Wednesday, everyone. Sure everyone's having a great day otherwise.
Yeah, woke up to some news that I wasn't particularly interested in hearing, but other than that, everything.
I think everyone did, except for 51% of the population. So, Phoenix has got some links to start us off here. It looks like Facebook agrees to stop using UK users' WhatsApp data for targeted ads. So that's nice of them. I just came across this and wanted to see what y'all thought about this. So these are fake fingerprints for your gloves so that you can use gloves with your fingerprint access on your phone. What a great idea, isn't it?
Oh.
So you're just going to have some fingerprint stickers that are on your glove. And it's not like those ever fall off.
Do we just lose Brantley?
Oh, I would guess so. So, I'll take over, or not.
Yep, it is internet connection. You can. Apparently, the Wi-Fi here is not the best.
Okay. So let me focus on what was going on here. Oh yeah, what did Phoenix have? Let's see. Talked about that. I'm just going to go into some. I haven't looked at those news stories yet. Brantley, this fake fingerprint. Do you want us to look at that? Let me see what
that's what he was starting to talk about, but he's got jumbled up.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a different twist on the idea of having gloves on and doing your phone manipulation or swiping, particularly fingerprint.
I clicked the wrong article anyway.
Let me see. Oh. Okay, so they're basically adding so you're not really using your fingerprint anymore, what it seems like with this. So basically, this is a glove that you attach a textured sticker to, and you scan that on the fingerprint device, on your phone, I guess, and you could then use it as gloves.
Yeah, what I said is, isn't that a great idea? It's not like that's going to fall into the wrong hands.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
You got a glove that has access to your thing, and somebody puts the wrong hand in it. Literally.
The whole point of biometrics is that it's something supposedly that's unique to you and unique in all the human population. Obviously, let's say a certain pattern on these gloves becomes very commonplace to use, that makes the security of then your fingerprint worthless. There's a ton of issues with this, and even suggesting that people might more actively do something like this, I think is dangerous for biometrics altogether. There's already methods by which biometrics can be circumvented with the technology that we have relatively easily. We've talked about photographing fingerprints. We've talked about potentially doing something similar with eyes or anything else that they might use. And maybe biometrics just aren't good anymore. Maybe it has to be something like, I don't know, DNA analysis? I don't know.
Yeah, DNA analysis to unlock your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Coming to a small pinprick near you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's not going to happen. But
No,
interesting. Thanks.
just
Thanks.
to computate the DNA,
Your phone will be unlocked in approximately 3 days.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Just to computate the DNA results on your phone will take at least a couple days.
Please wait while we transfer this data to the supercomputer.
Good. Google seems to be keeping up with their promotion of security online, which is good. So they're branding some malicious websites with repeat offender.
That's not good.
Why isn't it good?
Because it's like, if you read it, they have no recourse during that 30 days. So, like, say a site that gets mislabeled that many times, and
I see what you're saying.
For 30 days with no recourse at all on it.
They don't have recourse. That's not good.
Not during that 30 days.
What's the criteria though by which they get?
Somebody submits and says that it's bad.
Really? Are you sure it works the same way as copyright infringement? I did not think that this would be the same thing.
It's basically similar from what I understand. Or it's done through AI and like, oh, this could be bad for you, so we're just going to say it is bad for you.
Well, it does depend upon implementation. I completely agree with Brantley's. If it is as he says it is, then yes, that's a huge issue. We've talked about.
Well, I mean, like I said, Michael,
it's like a distributed denial of service attempt. It's much more focused and allowed by law. It's basically taking a site offline off the internet for reasons that aren't necessarily based on law or anything else.
But it's just in a search cache, though. So I mean, it's not that encompassing.
Well, but I mean, really, I mean, people don't type in. Yeah, okay. I mean, I get you. You can get to a website without a search engine, but.
Well, and you can use other search engines too. It's just Google that has that. But I'm just saying, like, I know of a lot of legitimate sites that have been blocked with that. Say, Nearsoft's site, because they offer a lot of powerful tools. Our site's been blocked for it illegitimately.
Well, not the repeat offender thing, but specifically. But
we've gotten blocked more than once, so we would already start falling in a repeat offender, even though we're not offending anything, and we get it cleared off as soon as we alert them to it. But during that 30 days, we have no recourse. We would just have to deal with it for 30 days. And that's kind of like, A, it's terrible that Google's making this choice for you already. B, it's bad.
But what about the people that would argue that there's merit to protecting the public when it does in fact work and does prevent them from getting to a site that would have otherwise infected their computer?
I'm all for a warning, but not for you can't get to this site at all, basically. Like the loops and hoops they make you jump through when that comes up is kind of outlandish. Like, not only just to get to the page, but then to download things from that page is like extremely difficult comparative to where it should just say, hey, warning, we've noticed something bad about this. They should be kind of more hands off, not so.
No, I gotcha.
You can pry these downloads from my cold browser hands. But yeah, I don't think it's that good. But back on the fingerprint thing, highly recommend to everyone to have your phone, if you do set up fingerprints, to ask for a passcode on boot. I know in the Samsung Galaxy, they have that option where you can have your fingerprint unlock the phone. But if it's
I have it enabled.
number of days or a certain number of hours, or if it's from a cold boot, it asks for the passcode. And then if you're ever in a place getting raided by police, shut your phone off before they get to you.
Yeah, I've already taken those steps, but it's important for others to be aware of that as well.
Michael's already shut his phone off before they get to him.
You know, but listen, in a last resort, there's always the whole sledgehammer. Just keep the sledgehammer, you know, by the side of the bed.
I would probably not recommend sledgehammering anything when SWAT is coming into an area you're in. Much less likely to be shot if you're just powering your phone off versus taking a sledgehammer to something.
Yeah, and you know, I always keep my sledgehammer around.
Yeah. They tend to have pretty itchy trigger fingers if you're wielding around sledgehammers.
Oh boy.
Just power your phone off, you'll be much better off. Yeah, that's because they have the right to force you to give up your fingerprint to unlock your phone, but they don't have the right to force you to tell them the passcode or passphrase to get into. I don't know how that applies to patterns. I think that's the same as a passcode. So
I would imagine that to be the case. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Phoenix.
So yeah, Phoenix paid us a nice compliment. I appreciate that. A lot of other users have been letting us know it's helped them out. A lot of new users coming on board with V8, so that's good. Let's see.
So I didn't talk about that other link that I posted, which was for Roku.
Oh, Roku. What's up with that?
Really?
They've actually made a new update where everyone's cell phone can become a wireless headset for the Roku. Now, I think that is extremely well played usage of technology integration there. So any Roku device, if you wanted to have a headset so that just you were listening to it, you can now set up your smartphone to be a headset for your Roku device.
That's awesome. I'm already use my cell phone as the remote for my Roku.
Yeah, so now you can use it as your headset awesome. As well. Yeah, I think that's an excellent route for them to have taken, and I hope other open source media players start doing the same. I mean, I guess it would just take an app on the phone talking back to the media server, stream the audio. I could see that being done over a Wi-Fi connection probably.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't, my Roku doesn't have the headphone jack built into the remote. I would have to upgrade to a newer model Roku. So if I can do that with my phone, that'll be awesome.
Yeah. I thought this was pretty cool too. These are little modular music thing. And what I thought was interesting about it is it's not like a plastic or glass that you would expect from like a touch type thing. It's like a let's see what they said. They're coated in a responsive, almost flesh-like silicone rubber that's at once alien and intuitive. So like you like mesh on this silicone rubber to make music. Oh, that was cool.
That's interesting. So I'm surprised, Brantley, considering where we stayed the past week, that you didn't hear, or maybe you did. Maybe. What about this guy here?
What?
This is about the Phillips smart bulbs.
Yeah.
I believe we had a house filled with these things, and apparently you can just fly a drone by them and take complete control over them. And the kind of scary thing about this is that this attack, I believe, is replacing the firmware with them, and so that means once they're broken into, there's no way to fix this issue.
You wouldn't be able to flash the firmware again?
Well, you would have to have physical access, apparently, at that point, and that's not possible with the light bulbs.
Well, you have physical access to the light bulb.
Well, without breaking it is the point. Yes, you could smash it and do it, but
Are you saying the light bulbs don't have an interface so that you could flash them?
yeah. In other words, they're completely dependent upon their wireless connectivity for data transfer, and that means that if a firmware flash or were to be flashed onto it that limited that in some way or locked you out of it in some way, which ostensibly a malicious one would, you pretty much have to buy a new light bulb at that point.
That would get pretty expensive.
It would. Imagine replacing your entire home and somebody just flying a drone over top and doing that. It's kind of creepy. But anyway, read the article and see. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's maybe outside the casual crook's skill set to accomplish. And but the thing is that this isn't the original attack that this is based upon wasn't targeted specifically at. I don't think at that particular light bulb. So I think it's a more common flaw amongst those types of devices, those hub devices. So that could be of interest too. But I didn't look at the complete security implications. I always encourage everyone to read the articles themselves and do the necessary research. But it does bring an interesting security flaw to the table and the attention of everyone. So hopefully we'll have that fixed at some point in the future.
Yeah, hopefully they update their firmwares over the air.
Oh yeah. They I'm sorry. There was something in that article. They did already update the firmware, I think, for to prevent or to try it. They said something to that effect, although they didn't go into much detail.
So WikiLeaks got DDoS for leaking emails one day before the U.S. election. Yep. Phoenix, there was no live stream because we were remote working from Austin, Texas for the Spice World event. And check this out. Somebody's vape battery exploded in their pocket and welded their...
and he was perfectly fine. And he was perfectly fine, right?
I don't know. He wasn't perfectly fine. He had his jacket welded to his finger while he was trying to pull it out.
Holy crap, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. And no, he has undergo treatment for severe burns, abdomen and fingers.
So on his abdomen and fingers, yeah. So he went out of the way to point out that it was a Chinese-made battery that he purchased from a local shop.
Yeah, batteries are dangerous, man. Don't play around with them.
But a lot of batteries are made in China, so.
Yeah, don't pick the cheapest one. Well, here's some news for the Pi fans. If I can make sure it comes up here. Yep, so you can repurpose your Raspberry Pi and a old Wii U controller and make it an emulator handset. I thought that was pretty cool.
Thanks.
So your retro Pi on the go. Mm-hmm. And apparently everyone...
I never really liked that controller though all that much, but
not that bad.
So much you, I mean, I obviously don't usually emulate that, obviously, but hey, for those who do and for those who loved it, I think the Wii is a great device, but so I guess you can just completely emulate that. I mean, in other words, all that motion control and stuff like that, you just have to have the equipment set up the same way, right? It should just work.
It's not the motion stuff. It's the Wii U has like a little handheld device that attaches to the Wii.
Oh, I don't know. I don't keep.
So it's basically just a big like Sega gear.
Oh, I don't keep up with this. I'm sorry. Interesting. All right.
I think they just took the guts out, replaced it with their own parts, so that when you push the button, it pushed the button on the Raspberry Pi instead of the board that was in there.
Gotcha. Okay.
More interesting is how much issues people are having with the new drones that they're going to be released. GoPro just recalled all of their Karma drones, that new drone that they launched with their new GoPro thing.
What's the
And
safety issue?
DJI has just completely delayed their Mavic one.
Well, that's better than a recall. In the case of the Karma ones, what's the safety concern? Is it a battery explosion? Is it going out of control and chopping people's heads off? What's going on there? Let's take a look at that.
In a very small number of cases, the Karma's lost power while in use.
Sounds like a design flaw.
They're not doing exchanges. You can only get a full refund for one.
Oh, really? So they don't even.
Then shipment and sales will resume.
Oof, that's horrible. Their stock must have plummeted.
Essentially, they just have a.
Oh, geez, yes, their stock did plummet. It's now nothing.
Essentially, they have a problem where they just stop flying midair, and they have no fix for it yet. So you can only get a refund for one. I told you, don't get a drone from a camera company. That doesn't make any sense. DJI though is doing the same thing. They can't even give people a expectation for when they might get them shipped out. Although I bet the Mavic Pro is going to be freaking awesome and not die in the middle of flight. What else we got out there?
Have you heard of these guys? So it's a desktop environment for Linux, I guess. Integrates with tightly integrates with the GNOME stack, but it's a desktop environment basically. It looks like there's now an official. They finally made it official, a flavor of Ubuntu that uses that. In case any Linux fans or Ubuntu fans out there that have had to do that on their own in the past, now it looks like that's going to be a little bit easier.
Just looks like an interface for Linux. Just another desktop GUI. Just what you need. More choices in Linux distribution file.
So did you hear about the what Lenovo did with their BIOSes on their Yogas and IdeaPads and stuff?
Put a backdoor in them?
No. So it looks like they received an immense backlash by when they announced that the Yoga 900 and 900S hybrids would only support Microsoft Windows and not Linux as a result of things that they did with the BIOS on those systems, including what we've talked about, the secure boot and stuff. So what they did was release a BIOS that they completely say they don't support, that will allow Linux to run. And when you do put that BIOS on, they don't support running Windows on that box either. So it creates a little bit of a weird situation for dual boot users and stuff. So
Yep.
I don't know. It's just I hate this trying to remove choice, and this is what we've said would always happen with those types of BIOS options and integrations with the operating system that Microsoft has somehow been so successful in doing over these past how many decades. And now we're seeing what it's doing. It's removing customer choice, and at least they pedaled back on it a little bit, but it's not much of a back pedal, obviously.
So I thought this was really interesting and extremely unreported news. Apparently in Delhi, India.
Oh, the air pollution, yeah.
Yeah, they have a extreme pollution emergency. And what I thought was interesting about it, and why I don't understand why this isn't getting more coverage, is the fact that they're halting power for 10 days.
Yeah, okay, but the reason they're doing this is because there's a festival or there's some sort of religious thing going on over there, and they're burning their crops. And that's what's causing this. They're mass burning their crops. And yeah, the air is downright dangerous. In fact, it's like literally, I think, at the like absolute top of the scale for will it kill you? You know what I mean? Even the worst air pollution in China, it doesn't even come close to the level that was measured.
It looks like they're blaming it on everything from burning crops to smoking and fireworks and vehicle emissions.
Well, yeah, there's a lot, but there's no way it could ever be that high if they weren't burning those things, the crops. It would be certainly high, but it would not be. I mean, I mean, unless they truly are setting off 1 million fireworks every single day.
If you look at the pictures in there, that stuff is crazy different.
Oh yeah, it's totally not safe. I mean, you might as well take a stroll through, a nuclear reactor without any shielding or radiation protection. I mean, it
won't irradiate you though.
Well, I mean, it'll probably do enough damage to your lungs to probably.
No, there's a lot of difference between radiation damage and just breathing in smog.
People take radiation all the time and can live for very long periods of time. There's some great movies.
Not to where you're walking through a radiation plant or a nuclear reactor with.
Okay, well, all right, I exaggerated it a little bit there.
You don't even walk past that. Like
I would
finish like a fourth of the way in.
Well, you go raise a child in Delhi. You go have a child and raise it in Delhi.
That doesn't have anything to do with the price of beans in Asia.
All right.
You were the one talking about walking through a place. I'm saying
air quality.
Yes, I would like to. I would preferably raise a child in Delhi than I would in a nuclear reactor. That's what you were talking about. You're right. I will.
I don't think I'd make either of those choices. Not one or the other. But, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was just really crazy how bad it is. And think about that though, being without power for 10 days.
Okay, sorry to be off topic, but I think blah blah blah.
Cool. So Phoenix says that the high CPU usage has tapered off as well.
Yeah, we resolved. We made some. You made some huge improvements in the performance in that regard.
And I'm still working on more. I thought this was pretty cool. Does anybody have an old Game Boy?
No.
Like the original Game Boys? There's a company that makes a cartridge that makes it play music. So check that out.
I didn't realize Samsung actually made that. Did we ever talk about this at some point? I don't think so. Samsung made a public apology regarding, I think this came out yesterday, regarding the Note 7. He took out full-page ads in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and the Washington Post.
No one cares. Have they apologized for their washing machines blowing up yet?
No, but I'm expecting a different set of magazines to hold those articles for us in the future. But yeah, I don't have much sympathy for them, but at least I respect a public apology. I mean, some places just try to sweep things under the table. And
I think Samsung's just going to reorient its business to the Department of Defense.
Yeah.
So start buying up defense contracts.
Yeah, look at all those phones we made explode, guys. Come on.
The Samsung Galaxy bomb. Samsung Galaxy torpedoes. So you can make your own pocket Tetris box. I thought that was pretty cool. And uses an LED matrix. And what is the inside of it?
Apparently, the Free Software Foundation gave a terrible breakdown of DRM and how bad it is. I say it's designed to control and spy on the users and to purposefully lock them in, and it's very scathing from what I understand. And yeah.
Isn't that the common thought?
I'm not a big. I'm not, I'm not a huge fan of certain amounts of that, but especially on stuff that you do legitimately purchase.
Michael, I found a site that you're going to be for sure to sign up for.
What would that be?
My Heritage DNA testing kit. You
Oh,
just send them your DNA, and
I know. I have a friend. I had a friend who started that way before all this, when 23andMe was first being, even conceived. He did something like that early on. I never, of course, wanted to be involved in it, but it's become very commonplace these days. I believe my father's done it. I don't. He didn't tell me he was doing it, but
oh, so they got your DNA already.
well, in that sense, they have a portion of it, possibly.
Large portion of it. Not why is it possibly?
It's
It's your father, right?
50%. 50%.
You're pretty sure it's your father, right?
I mean, maybe not. Maybe there's something I don't know. So who knows?
You sounded very
I
questionable.
could have been adopted, possibly. I know
They have my DNA possibly if they got my father's. We're not real sure.
Well, I mean, I could have suffered enough DNA mutations for it to be virtually unrecognizable, but likely that would have probably created some outward differences as well.
Hey, did you use the web of trust, Michael?
No, I didn't, and yeah, no one else should have either, from what I
Did you talk
understand.
about that yesterday?
I may have, but you know what? It's big enough to repeat.
So if you're using my web of trust, remove it immediately. So they were caught.
They've removed it from the store because it's in complete violation of everything that they promised and said.
They did not anonymize your data and sold it to lots of people. 140 million users of that extension.
Yeah.
Hopefully they got a good price for it.
It's sad to see people take advantage by those things. I wish there was some legal recourse into this, but apparently it's just the extension gets removed, and that's the extent in this modern 21st century world.
Yep, because you agree.
Mhm.
Because you agree when you install the software.
Yep.
You agree to whatever they're saying you do.
Yep. But I don't know if it should be that easy. There's certain that we already have laws in place for preventing more traditional sales from, basically removing your constitutional rights, for instance. And some of the things that they do effectively does that.
Did you talk about that yesterday? The leaked NASA paper that shows the.
I read it. I read it. I didn't talk about it because I'm waiting for the peer review of this. There's been so much controversy regarding this. So it's basically something that appears to work, and nobody really understands exactly why or how it's operating. And NASA was so
We're gonna have
intrigued
to
by.
rename it from the impossible EM drive to something more probable.
Yeah, but NASA was so intrigued by the results that they did a complete study of it, and it looks like somebody got a hold of some of those papers from that. And it's actually the efficiency of it is actually very promising, considering the only real plausible alternative that they've proven and been able to work with up to this point have been solar sails, and they've been effective, but the amount of thrust that they provide are basically micronewtons, and this can produce millinewtons of thrust, and so that's a lot better. I mean, we're still not talking about the type of thrust that could go up against the conventional rocket and chemical propulsion that we have, but it is currently the only workable one above the solar sail type technology that's available to us. That's actually can be produced and tested and that's amazing. And once it's peer reviewed, once we have a little bit better understanding of what's going on with it, I'm certain that this is going to be a part of our next extra or interstellar, potentially even, or at least extraterrestrial missions outside of our planet. Mars, I guess, is the big one. This would be probably a big component on its on the trip there, or it would reduce the. I mean, think about it. The cost. Most of the problem is that we've talked about this before. Its weight. The fuel is heavy. Every kilogram you send up costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they can remove a whole lot of kilograms. This will basically make commercial spaceflight affordable, I'd imagine. Something like this, but it takes such a long time to accelerate these things in their current forms that the passengers really have to be willing to probably spend months or not months, but I mean maybe an extended period of time in space, not just a quick ride around the block like you would in a car type of thing. But I don't think anybody goes
I
into
haven't
space.
finished reading the paper, but it says that it by theory it shouldn't work, but in their tests that it keeps working. What have their tests been? Do you know?
Yeah, so basically what they're doing is sticking it in a vacuum and then effectively turning it on and seeing what happens. And they cannot account for where the thrust is coming from. There's no propellant. There's nothing being emitted or pushed away. That they don't understand that they're not.
So they can't figure out the E equals MC squared part of it.
Yeah, I guess that would effectively be the case. So they believe it's maybe based upon a quantum effects. So when there's all the time particles are created and destroyed sort of randomly, and they annihilate and they do all sorts of things that we would never see on such a small, tiny scale that we can't even imagine. But apparently, when those things can happen, they can have a real effect in some cases. And this may be doing something along those lines and causing the effect of that to be noticed on a macroscopic scale in some fashion. Something that's already, basically it's already there. The quantum world is always around us, but now maybe this is a way of harvesting it to do something instead of it just being kind of untenable and nothing we have to work around it, if anything, not work with it. And this may be proving that. But again, that's just a theory. That's just a theory, and that's a stretch. And I'm no scientist, but this could, there's a lot of potential explanations. But it's clear it's not impossible. Whatever this is doing, because of the controls at NASA, they're pretty good at that type of thing. And they are putting real science at play here. This isn't the guys that are, having some chance or something like that and calling upon another dimension. It's they're not doing anything crazy or wild with it. They're just testing something that exists.
So did anyone see the awesome Iguana? No?
Awesome Iguana. I don't know what you mean by that.
What is
awesome Iguana?
Watch that clip. If you're streaming, make sure you mute the sound. So apparently, the previous night, Planet Earth 2 had a scene of a baby iguana hatching and then having to outrun like 100 snakes all at once. It's pretty heroic. Like, you watch that and then you're like, yeah, that probably was the best thing on television. Reddit called it. Greatest TV moment ever.
Okay, that's amazing. I did some fast forwarding there, obviously, but that's amazing. Yeah, I might have to agree with Brantley on everything he just said.
That was an amazing feat by that little iguana.
Yeah, I was rooting for him. And it was it was I would not want to be in his shoes. I would not want to have to do something like that, but that's oftentimes I understand they have to do that type of thing every single day. And the whole, what is it, the whole saying, if you wake up in Africa, you better be running.
Well, here's one of my things from my nightmares. So a huge sinkhole happened in Japan and apparently swallowed up an entire 5-lane road. That stuff is scary, man. Anytime, anywhere, sinkholes can strike. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, crazy stuff.
So everyone's been talking about alternative energy has picked up over coal. There's what happens when you have a offshore wind farm. Sediment gets strewn about in certain patterns.
Well, that's interesting.
It makes it look really pretty. Doctor, they can hear your passwords.
You know, just hearing a password being typed is a compromise of a password. They've proven that a couple of times. If they know a little bit about the type of keyboard that you're on, and some of those things they can actually infer by just listening as well. They can figure out.
Yeah, mine's so loud it probably sounds like English.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's coming through crisp and clear. So
he just reads the keys when he pushes it. A, S,
he's got a speak and spell keyboard. Oh man, that would be a great mod for a keyboard. Like it says.
Try to hide your password on this mother.
So I had also come across 6 innovative designs for wind turbines. And honestly, I thought the most innovative one was the Vortex bladeless wind turbine. It cuts manufacturing costs by 53% and cuts maintenance costs as much as 80%. And basically, they're just like straws sitting up, and wind goes past them, and it pulls the wind energy from them.
Wow.
And then they had one that
You're full of new energy or clean energy stories today. Yes, thank you. We've gone back to high school, I see. Hey guys, this is kind of cool. So that's, I think, the actual paper, but let me get you guys the video. No, that's not it. Let me see what I can.
What is that garbled mess?
There's the video, but it looks like the guys at
some sort of title or something.
Sorry, it looks at all right. The guys at Oxford, they can lip read well.
Oh, about the computer that learned to lip read? Is that what that's about?
Develop lip reading model, yeah.
So like the scariest thing from Space Odyssey 2001?
When
they realized that Hal could read lips?
That's very, I'm glad you pointed that out. Glad you liked that movie enough to remember that little scene in there. That was really cute.
Oh, I didn't. Gawker or Gizmodo remembered it for me.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't think the Dave, certainly he didn't know it at the time, but yeah. Oh, what is this?
What?
Here's another video. Just random videos.
Well, I thought this was pretty cool. Scientists built a computer without semiconductors using all tube-based things.
Apparently that video that I posted was more, maybe it would be easier to interpret if you're a fan of the Fallout games, but Just thought I'd mention that.
I am not a fan of Fallout games, so I shouldn't watch it.
Oh, vacuum tube chips. Yes, thank you for that link, Brantley.
Mhm.
No, that's good stuff. They have indeed been making a comeback. And so I had an issue today with a customer, and I believe Tank and I were discussing it a little bit. What had happened was they wanted a new computer, and they got a new computer. New doesn't always necessarily though mean better. So guess what CPU it has inside of it? It's a desktop.
Mm.
Okay. I think it's the same one I have in my gateway box. So
Ooh.
yeah, it's going to be pretty power efficient, I imagine. But yeah, I'm not so sure. In that form factor, that's power efficiency is really the motivating goal. Certainly, it might be a very quiet computer too because there's no fans, but the performance. I mean, that's the lowest tier performance amongst the Intel lineup for the most part. Possibly except for some of the stuff that they put in cars, but even that's pretty darn powerful these days. And so, this computer had 4 gigs of RAM, and it had a quad-core 2930, I believe, processor or something like that. Pentium, so 4 cores, but running at 1.6 base, and then I think it can turbo to 2.4 or something like that if less than 4 cores are being used. At any rate, the performance for desktop applications is horrible because those processors have, compared to most desktop processors of Intel's line, a lot less cache, and cache is incredibly important for the performance of most of those types of desktop applications. They explicitly benefit from it more than a lot of other things that you might do. And for this type of office environment for this particular client, it's that's the type of performance that they need. Even an i3 would have been light years ahead of it. Even potentially a Pentium, even another Pentium, just not one based upon those lower end parts. So just be careful. People sometimes come, I'm sure you've had this happen. Customers will come to you and say, "Oh, it's this many gigahertz," or "Oh, this is fast enough," But just saying 4 cores and 2.4 gigahertz, which was how somebody could have potentially described this particular chip, would not be representing it very well. It is 4 cores. And it does at times run at that speed, but you got to consider the class of chip that it's coming from. It's well below what they typically market for desktop Pentiums. It's more of a
Yeah, it's always fun when people call me up and they're like, "Hey, should I buy this laptop? It's got a blah 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 in it," and I'm like, probably not. They're like, "But it's such a great price," and I was like, "Yeah."
There's a reason for that. There's a
reason you're about to buy in it.
There's a reason for that, but it was so much easier previously for consumers to see that with clear model lines. But now, Intel can slap a Pentium on one of several different technologies that they have in production, and they're not all the same. They have kept their consistency amongst like the i3, i5, and i7, ones, but once you start to break outside of that, it gets far more cloudy for the consumer, and I think that's what these companies pushing these models are betting on. These devices are certainly powerful enough for my, being the gateway in my environment here for my network, but that doesn't mean I would use that device for regular desktop usage. Desktop app usage, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, stuff like that.
So one good thing for Wu-tang fans came out last night. Martin, the famous pharma bad boy, played the intro and one track from Once Upon a Time in Shaolin, the only copy of this album for Wu-Tang that he purchased last December for $2 million. He's not let anybody else listen to it since. But because Trump won, played the intro and one song.
Oh, that's not giving up. I thought he was going to play the whole thing.
Yeah, probably a lot of people did. But he didn't expect it to be ripped off and replayed so many times. So. Oh, and look, I'll have to get these for Michael.
What would that be?
The Twinkles. It's a 21st century friendship bracelet. So you push a button on the device and your friend will get a vibration to know you're thinking about them. And it
So
should also play,
yes,
it also start playing the Beach Boys, Good Vibrations.
it's basically a GPS device for your friend.
What?
Oh, not a GPS. No, I guess it's not telling you the coordinates. I guess it's just, but effectively, well, no. I mean, I guess this is just Wi-Fi. What's it based on?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's not based on giving you somebody's GPS coordinates. That's not a friend bracelet. That's a stalker bracelet.
Well, I hope they took precautions against using it in that light.
So the bands themselves retail for $60. Each individual charm will set you back further, a couple bucks at a time. One charm covers your friend circle more generally and can be used to contact up to 8 people. The colored LED underneath used to differentiate them. $6 for that type of charm.
$6 is cheap.
After you buy a $60 band.
Oh, no. Yeah. Not cheap. Not cheap at all.
I think it's nifty though. Charm bracelets always did confuse me. All right, what else we got for the day?
Oh, killing me. Let me see here.
Proctor, good news. You can buy refurbished iPhones directly from Apple.
All right.
As if having an iPhone regularly wasn't bad enough. You can overpay for a refurb. Yeah, I could have gotten my secondhand iPhone from eBay or Amazon, but I felt like paying twice as much more to get it directly from Apple.
I think I'll pass on that.
See how you could. Although Android's not doing very well off with their exploits they got out there right now. I don't have any links to any of them, but there's 2 pretty bad ones going around right now. Michael, you know about all this?
Yeah, I did. I heard about them being sold. I don't know a lot of details because I wasn't interested
The
in
dirty moo moo cow or something is one of them, and there's another one that's infected.
Immediately when I heard this was an iPhone, that these were iPhone refurbished ones and not some other types of phones that I might be interested in, that's when I stopped reading the story. So I didn't get very far into it. But
no, something else. I was talking about the Android issues that are currently going on.
no, oh, I'm sorry. What's that?
There's 2 out there that I know of. One of them's like one of them's a malware that can steal all your banking info, and then the other one is like one that allows remote code execution. I think, like the dirty moo moo or something.
Oh,
and that still hasn't been fixed by Google.
Yeah, so that's the one that I had heard about, was that they had yet to patch that and that it was still going on. And I thought it was something like Mad Cow or something like that, but I could be wrong. So
Um,
And as far as Google made Android Auto available as a download. So you could effectively use it in your car, in your existing car.
the dirty cow exploit.
Dirty cow. Oh, sorry, not mad cow. Dirty cow. I know it's close
And
to
you
something.
can root any of your Android devices with it. So again, that's not that bad, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe I could root my Samsung right now.
Did we talk about this? The Android Auto. So that's been real popular from what I understand, and that's going to be on. Google's going to push that on cars, but remember that these vulnerabilities that Brantley and I talk about week after week sometimes will be affecting your car sooner than you may think. In one way or another.
Are you sure it's already patched, Phoenix? Because I was reading that they hadn't patched it on their November security update.
Yeah, that's what I heard too, that they hadn't already. But I read fast sometimes. So.
A supplemental patch for Dirty Cow vulnerability.
Sometimes they semi-patch something and realize they didn't fully fix it and then have to do it again. That's known to happen. And depending upon who you talk to, might say that it's been patched or not patched at that point in time. But
so it's going to go out officially in its December Android security bulletin, but right now they've released a partial one.
So Phoenix clarifies this, under Linux itself, yes, it has been patched already, but we were specifically referring to Android.
Yeah. But I'm saying that might mean that we can root our Samsung Galaxy Edge phones.
Well, I'm just waiting. I haven't seen that happen yet. I absolutely want to do that. So as soon as you hear of that happening, please let me know. It'll be it'll be like a holiday. It'll be a very awesome day when that happens. But until it does, or until I'm able to execute that making that happen on my phone, I take it with a grain of salt because it's.
There you go, Michael. Follow the instructions on that page, which says download the dirty cow root.sh script and run it on your phone.
Okay.
Let me know how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, like, for instance, it's for me, like, the phone I had previously, I could have rooted, but it practically took the entire time of me owning it for that to happen. And so probably the same way with this phone, like probably by the time I could
root. And two, they're going to come out, they just started the beta testing of Android 7 on the Galaxy S7 series phone.
Oh, nice.
Today, so.
Get another update. That's cool. Always happy.
Well, it's going to be a major OS update. Right now you're running 6.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of the version numbers. Yes, it will be a major OS update, but I'm thankful for any update these days on the cell phones because you can't guarantee them. So, but I was promised, and Google typically, or not Google, but Samsung, I think typically promises at least 2 full generations of Android, I think.
Well, they promise 2 years on their phones normally.
Okay, which ends up usually being 2 generations of Android, right?
Most of the time.
Huh?
Most of the time, yes.
Yeah. Interesting.
All right. Well, that I think we'll wrap it up for today. Unless anybody else had anything real quick they wanted to add in.
No, sorry.
All right. Well, let's wrap her up for today. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks Phoenix for all your links and discussion here. Otherwise, we'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Again, we are here mainly to provide service and support about any of our software and products. Otherwise, we enjoy just talking shop and having everyone watch here. So hope you all have a great rest of your week, and we'll be back tomorrow. Take us on out, Proctor.